Hello, I'm the Progressive Disciple. I'm taking a journey through the Bible, and I'm inviting you to join me. Today, we are covering the book of Genesis, chapters 31 through 35. In Genesis chapter 31, Jacob heard that Laban's son was complaining about him, and God urged him to leave. Rachel and Leah agreed, so Jacob took his wives, his flock, and his children, and made his way home. Rachel stole her father's household gods. After 3 days, Laban heard that Jacob had left, and so he pursued Jacob. Laban had a dream not to say anything good or bad to Jacob. He caught up with Jacob and was angry that he left without saying goodbye. He was also angry that his household gods were stolen. Jacob said that he would kill anyone who had stolen his gods, not knowing that Rachel was the one who had stolen them. Laban looked but could not find the gods because Rachel was sitting on them. They then set up a pillar as an agreement that they would not cross over and harm each other. In Genesis chapter 31, verses 38 through 42, it says, I have been with you 20 years now. Your sheep and goats have not miscarried, nor have I eaten rams from your flock. I did not bring your animals torn by wild beasts. I bore the loss myself, and you demanded payment from me for whatever was stolen by day or night. This was my situation. The heat consumed me in the daytime, and the cold at night, and sleep fled from my eyes. It was like this for the 20 years I was in your household. I worked for you 14 years for your 2 daughters and 6 years for your flocks, and you changed my wages 10 times. If the God of my father, the God of Abraham, and the fear of Isaac had not been with me, you would surely have sent me away empty-handed. But God has seen my hardship and the toil of my hands, and last night he rebuked you. There are 2 sides to every story. Laban gave his side when Jacob left without saying goodbye. Jacob now confronts Laban about how he has been treated. This is a reminder to me to stand up for my rights and to look at both sides of any issue. In Genesis chapter 32, Jacob sent word to Esau that he was coming. He sent gifts to try to appease him. Word came back to Jacob that Esau was coming with 400 men. Jacob prepared for a fight by splitting his camp into 2 parts. If one of the camps were attacked, the other camp could escape. That night, Jacob came across a man and wrestled with him until morning. There was no winner in the match, and so the man touched his hip, dislocating it. Jacob demanded a blessing, and the man renamed him Israel, since he struggled with God, then blessed him. In Genesis chapter 32, verses 25 through 29, it says, When the man saw that he could not overpower him, he touched the socket of Jacob's hip so that his hip was wrenched as he wrestled with the man. The man said, Let me go, for it is daybreak. But Jacob replied, I will not let you go unless you bless me. The man asked, What is your name? Jacob, he answered. The man said, Your name will no longer be Jacob, but Israel, because you have struggled with God and with humans and have overcome. Jacob said, "Please tell me your name." But he replied, "Why do you ask my name?" Then he blessed him there. It is sometimes when you're at a low point in your life that you truly encounter God. It's often called hitting bottom. Jacob had to confront all the bad choices that he had made in life. I too find that I occasionally have to wrestle with God. And sometimes this can be painful. God renames Jacob to Israel. God is calling Jacob to become someone new. This is a calling to me to look into who God is calling me to become. In Genesis chapter 33, Jacob saw Esau coming and bowed down before him. Esau hugged and kissed Jacob. Esau originally did not want to accept Jacob's gifts, but Jacob insisted. Jacob moved slowly toward Shechem, where he bought land for his tent. And there Jacob built an altar. In Genesis chapter 33, verses 3 through 5, it says, "He himself went ahead and bowed down to the ground 7 times as he approached his brother. But Esau ran to meet Jacob and embraced him. He threw his arms around his neck and kissed him, and they wept. Then Jacob looked up and saw the women and children. 'Who are these with you?' he asked. And Jacob answered, 'They are the children God has graciously given your servant.' My sister and I did not get along. When she went to college, I found I was upset, and I realized that I loved her. I think the same thing is true with Esau and Jacob. And they realized at that moment that they really did love each other. The grace that Esau gave is a reminder to me to give grace to others. I also see that Jacob's humility opened the door to reconciliation. This is a reminder for me to be humble, own up to my faults, and to try to reconcile to those I have offended. In Genesis chapter 34, Jacob's daughter Dinah was raped by Shechem while visiting the women of the town. Shechem wanted Dinah to be his wife. Jacob's son said that she could not be wed until the men of the town were circumcised. The men of the town were circumcised, and while they were sore from their circumcision, Simeon and Levi murdered them. Jacob rebuked his sons because he feared that the other Canaanites would join forces and kill all of them. But their brothers said they could not let their sister be treated like a prostitute. In Genesis chapter 34, chapter 1 through 4, it says, "Now Dinah, the daughter Leah had borne to Jacob, went out to visit the women of the land. When Shechem, son of Hamor, the Hivite, and the ruler of the area, saw her, he took her and raped her. His heart was drawn to Dinah, daughter of Jacob. He loved the young woman and spoke tenderly to her. And Shechem said to his father Hamor, 'Get me this girl as my wife.'" The one thing that really disappoints me in the stories of the Bible is how women are treated. I know that God meets us where we are. People of those times saw women more as property than human beings. When a woman can be raped and then given as a bride to her rapist, sends chills down my spine. It is easy not to see people as human beings. I see this in my own state with our Congress bullying trans people. This is a reminder to me to treat all people with respect. In Genesis chapter 35, God told Jacob to go to Bethel. Jacob had his family purify themselves and get rid of foreign gods. God protects Jacob and his family on the journey by making the surrounding towns afraid of them. Jacob then builds an altar in Bethel. Deborah, Rebekah's nurse, died and was buried there. God renewed his promise that he made to Abraham and renamed Jacob Israel. Rebekah gives birth to Benjamin, but dies in childbirth. Reuben, Jacob's son, sleeps with his concubine, Beliah, and Jacob hears about it. Isaac dies, and Esau and Jacob bury him. In Genesis chapter 35, verses 16 through 20, it says, "Then they moved on from Bethel, where they were still some distance from Ephraim. Rachel began to give birth and had great difficulty. And as she was having great difficulty in childbirth, the midwife said to her, 'Don't despair, for you have another son.' As she breathed her last, for she was dying, she named the son Ben-Oni, but his father renamed him Benjamin. So Rachel died and was buried on the way from Ephraim, that is Bethlehem. Over her tomb, Jacob set up a pillar, and to this day that pillar marks Rachel's tomb." I see these verses, and I think of the grief that Jacob must have felt. Grief is an inevitable part of love. There is an old saying that says, "It is better to have loved and lost than to have never loved at all." So this is my take of Genesis, chapters 31 through 35. Please like this video and subscribe if you have not already done so. And also comment. I would love to read your comments. I am the Progressive Disciple, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you for watching.